Lesson number 10. We know that flux is equal to B times A, and that by changing the flux, we can produce electricity. Well, we have another choice. Instead of moving the magnet, if I hold the magnet still, can I actually turn the coil itself? So as we look at the coil, instead of changing the magnet, can we actually change the area of the coil? So as the lines try to go through this area here, as I rotate it sideways, notice that it closes off. From the front view, we can see it here. As I look at the coil itself, the field lines are going through this way. If the coil starts to spin, notice that the opening itself starts to get smaller and smaller. Then as it spins around, it opens up again. So we are making a change in the flux, not by changing the number of B lines, but by changing the area as it rotates. This is actually how power is generated in the United States, by rotating the coils, not the magnets. The magnets are heavy. It's easier to change the coils than that. So this creates a change in flux. Now the next question is, if this flux is changing, what is the direction of the current flow? And to determine this, we need to use a new tool. This is known as right-hand rule number 2. We take our hand, thumb extended like so, and curl our fingers. Notice how my fingertips are right above my thumb. Don't do this, that's bad. Alright? Don't do this, that's for forces. We need to get our fingers curled just right. And our job now is to check to see what the directions are of the current flows. Now, this is a difficult idea. Alright? As I approach with the north pole of the magnet towards the coil, the number of field lines is increasing. So as I get closer, more and more lines can go through there, creating a change in flux. Lenz's law is famous for this statement. Lenz's law tells us the direction of the current flows. Lenz tells us this: I want to maintain the status quo. I don't like things increasing. I don't like things decreasing. I like things to remain just the way they are. It reminds me of people that are abused on the Jerry Springer show. The man comes on the show, his wife is beating him. And, you know, he's got a broken arm, a black eye, because his wife keeps hitting and hitting and hitting him. Well, he says, people say, well, why don't you just leave her? She's abusing you. And she says, but I love her. I love the way things used to be, and I can't leave. Now, at this point in time, the audience starts to boo and tell him he's a loser, etc., etc. But the bottom line is, he feels like if I could just leave things the way they were, you know, I could get things back to the way they were. That's the way I would like it to be. Lenz says the same thing. So, as I move the magnet forward with the north pole facing this direction, the number of lines is increasing as I go towards this. So we start out, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Lenz says this: take your hand, curl your fingers. I don't like the fact that more lines are coming in, so I'm going to oppose them and say, no, 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 all these extra lines coming in, I don't want them. I like things to be the way they were, so I take my fingers through the hoop like this and say, I oppose you. Now notice, as I use right-hand rule number 2, my fingers are curled against the lines coming in. Notice how my thumb is going in the counterclockwise direction. The current flow now, determined by my thumb, is counterclockwise. Now, if I pull the magnet away, the lines coming in through the hoop from the magnet start to decrease so that I end up with fewer lines. At this point in time, Lenz says, hey, you're losing lines. I don't like it. I like things the way they were. And then we would want to support the lines because they're decreasing. I take my hand, and instead of going against them, I go with the lines and support them. Notice that my thumb is going in the clockwise direction now, in the same direction as the lines are coming in from the north pole of the magnet. My thumb is going this way, and I found myself to have a current flow that was in the clockwise direction. This is known as Lenz's law.